Wealthy woman sees boy sweeping the sidewalk, and she does the unthinkable. Elizabeth Reynolds stopped abruptly on the sidewalk when she saw the barefoot boy sweeping with an old broom in front of the office building where her business was located. His small hands gripped the worn wooden handle with a determination that left her speechless. That's when she noticed the boy's purple feet, bruised by the cold winter morning in Chicago. Without a second thought, she took off her designer coat and rushed toward him. "Sweetheart, you must be freezing," she said, holding out the garment. The boy lifted his brown eyes and looked at her, with a mix of surprise and wariness. He couldn't have been more than 10 years old, yet there was a premature maturity in his thin face. "You don't have to, ma'am. I'm not a beggar," he replied in a firm voice that contrasted with his fragile appearance. "But you're barefoot, child. At least let me buy you some shoes." "I work honestly," the boy interrupted, lifting his chin proudly. "I sweep the sidewalks and earn my money. I don't take handouts." The businesswoman was struck by the boy's dignity. In her 45 years of life, she had rarely encountered such determination in someone so young. "What's your name?" "Tyler, ma'am, Tyler Williams." Before she could continue the conversation, a harsh voice shouted from the building, "Hey you, get out of here, kid. I already told you, no sweeping in front of the building." It was Stanley, the doorman, approaching with a scowl. Elizabeth recognized him immediately. "Stanley, the boy is just working." "Mrs. Reynolds, you don't understand. The building manager gave strict orders. We can't have this kind of people out front. It drives clients away." Tyler gathered his broom and a plastic bag full of dry leaves, preparing to leave without a word. "Wait." Elizabeth gently held the boy's arm. "Stanley, who gave this order?" "Mr. Richard, your brother-in-law. He was very clear. No minors working on the street here." Elizabeth's heart sank. Richard was married to her sister Rachel and had always held rigid opinions about people from lower social classes, but she never imagined he'd go so far as to chase away a child just trying to earn an honest living. Tyler was already walking away, limping slightly. That's when Elizabeth noticed a cut on the boy's right foot, leaving small traces of blood on the ground. "Sweetheart, you're hurt." "Stepped on some glass yesterday, but it's nothing," he replied without stopping. "This needs attention. Come with me. I'll take you to a doctor." Tyler stopped and turned. His eyes glistened with unshed tears. "Why do you want to help me? No one cares about me, because everyone deserves care, especially a child." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. After much insistence, Tyler agreed to go to the nearest private clinic. On the way, he shared that he lived only with his grandmother, Mrs. Gladys, who was sick and needed expensive heart medication. "My mom passed when I was 6, he explained, staring out the car window. "Since then, it's just been me and Grandma. She can't work anymore, so I take care of everything." "And your father?" "Never met him. My mom said he was a good man, but didn't know I existed." At the hospital, the receptionist eyed Tyler with disdain. "Ma'am, does your insurance cover street children?" "He is not a street child," Elizabeth replied firmly. "He's a child who needs medical attention. I'll cover all costs." "Elizabeth, what are you doing here?" The familiar voice made her turn. It was her husband, Kevin, who had arrived at the hospital for a routine checkup. "Kevin, I'm so glad you're here. This is Tyler. He got hurt and—" "Elizabeth, have you lost your mind?" Kevin interrupted in a low voice, pulling her aside. "Why are you wasting our money on some street kid? He's not a street kid. He's a hard-working child who needs help. You're being naive. These kids are trained to play on people's sympathy. Tomorrow he'll show up with 10 more asking for help." The argument was cut short when Tyler appeared beside them. He had heard everything. "Sorry for the trouble, sir. I'll leave now," he said, trying to walk away with his foot still bleeding. "No, Tyler, you're getting treated." Elizabeth was firm, looking straight at her husband. Kevin sighed and walked away, clearly annoyed. 2 hours later, Tyler left the hospital with his foot bandaged and a prescription for antibiotics. Elizabeth bought all the medicine at the hospital pharmacy. "Thank you, Mrs. Reynolds," Tyler said when they reached the door of his home, a simple wooden structure in an alley in Lincoln Park. "I'll pay you back every cent. You can count on it." You don't need to pay me back. It was a gift. My grandma always said there's no such thing as a free lunch. Every favor comes with a price. I'd rather pay now. The maturity in those words, coming from a child, left Elizabeth deeply moved. She waited for Tyler to go inside before leaving, but she couldn't get the boy out of her head for the rest of the day. That night at dinner, Kevin brought it up again. Elizabeth, I hope you learned your lesson today. We can't go around helping everyone who crosses our path. Why not? We have more than enough money for it. We have money because we know how to manage it, not because we throw it away. Helping a child isn't throwing money away. It's naivety. You know nothing about that boy's life. It could be a scam. Kevin, he's 10 years old. So what? Kids lie too. The conversation ended in tense silence. Elizabeth went upstairs without saying goodnight, something she hadn't done in years of marriage. The next morning, she deliberately passed by the spot where she had found Tyler. He wasn't there. Worried, she went to his house and knocked. An elderly woman answered, leaning on a makeshift cane. "Are you Mrs. Reynolds?" she asked in a soft but sweet voice. "Yes, I am. You must be Tyler's grandmother." "I'm Gladys. Tyler told me everything you did for him yesterday. Thank you so much." "Where is he? I didn't see him working today." "He left early for another neighborhood. Said he couldn't sweep near your building anymore because of some trouble." Elizabeth's heart sank. Richard had managed to drive the boy out of the entire commercial block. "Mrs. Gladys, may I come in? I'd like to talk with you." The house was small but very clean. There were only 2 rooms, a living area that also served as a kitchen and a bedroom in the back. Everything was carefully arranged, but the lack of resources was obvious. "Tyler is a special boy," Mrs. Gladys said, serving weak coffee in mismatched cups. "He's always been responsible, even as a little boy. When his mother passed, he promised he'd take care of me." "What happened to his mother?" "Jennifer was a good girl, worked as a maid in a rich house. But the boss fired her out of the blue without paying her what she was owed. She was desperate, searching everywhere for work. Ended up catching a bad case of pneumonia and, well, her body couldn't fight it." "What rich house was that?" "I don't remember the employers' names, I just know it was in Beverly Hills. Jennifer really liked the lady of the house, said she was kind, but the husband was the one who called all the shots." Something twisted in Elizabeth's stomach. A strange feeling, as if a puzzle piece was trying to fit into place. "Do you have a picture of Jennifer?" Mrs. Gladys went to an old piece of furniture and returned with a small photo frame. Elizabeth nearly dropped her coffee cup when she saw the photo. It was Jennifer, her former housekeeper. The same Jennifer that Kevin had fired 4 years ago, claiming she had stolen jewelry. The same Jennifer that Elizabeth had tried to defend, but Kevin wouldn't even listen to explanations. "Mrs. Gladys," Elizabeth's voice trembled. "Jennifer's employer was me." The elderly woman looked at her confused. "Jennifer worked in my home for 3 years. My husband fired her, thinking she had stolen a necklace that we later found in the safe. But by the time we realized the mistake, she had already disappeared. We never managed to find her to apologize." Mrs. Gladys began to cry. "So you're the Mrs. Elizabeth that Jennifer talked about so much? She said you were like a sister to her, that she'd never been treated so well by any employer. Jennifer talked about me every day. She said that once she got another job, she'd bring Tyler to meet you. She was so proud of that boy." Elizabeth couldn't hold back her tears. All this time, Tyler was Jennifer's son. Jennifer, whom she had considered almost a sister. Jennifer, who had died because of an unfair accusation from her own husband. "Mrs. Gladys, I need to tell Tyler who I am. Maybe it's better to wait until he gets back. He left very early today, said he was going to try working in Chinatown." Elizabeth spent the rest of the day searching for Tyler in the nearby neighborhoods. She found him late in the afternoon, sweeping a sidewalk on Grant Avenue, still limping from his foot injury. "Tyler?" The boy turned and smiled when he saw her. "Mrs. Elizabeth, you came looking for me." "Yes, I did. I need to talk to you about something very important." They sat on a bench in Chinatown Square. Elizabeth took a deep breath before speaking. "Tyler, I knew your mother." The boy's eyes widened. "You knew my mom?" "Jennifer worked in my home for 3 years. She was a wonderful person, almost like a sister to me. My mum talked a lot about an employer who truly cared for her. Was that you? Yes, and I need to apologize for something terrible that happened. Elizabeth told him the whole story, the false accusation, the firing, the late discovery of the mistake. Tyler listened in silence, tears streaming down his face. My mum wasn't a thief, he finally said. I always knew that, but my husband wouldn't listen to me. When we found the necklace in the safe, we tried to find your mother to apologize and rehire her, but she had vanished. She was ashamed. She said she couldn't work for families anymore because no one would trust her. Tyler, I'm so sorry. If I had stood my ground, if I had defended your mother better. It's not your fault. My mom always said you were good. They sat in silence for a few minutes. Tyler wiped his tears with the sleeve of his dirty shirt. Now I understand why you helped me, he said. It wasn't out of kindness, it was out of guilt. No, Tyler, it was kindness. Even if I hadn't known who you were, I would have helped you. But now that I do, I feel I owe you even more. You don't owe me anything. My mom taught me that holding grudges doesn't help. She said you were a good person. The wisdom of that 10-year-old boy left Elizabeth deeply moved. In that moment, she made a decision that would change her life forever. Tyler, I want to help you and your grandmother, truly. Not out of guilt, but because you deserve a better life. We don't need charity, Mrs. Elizabeth. It's not charity, it's justice. Your family suffered because of our mistake. Let me make it right. Tyler thought for a long time before answering. If you really want to help, give me work. Real work, not charity. I can sweep, clean, and organize. My grandmother can work too. She's a great cook. It's a deal. I'll talk to my husband today. But when Elizabeth got home and told Kevin about her discovery, his reaction was far from what she expected. Elizabeth, have you lost your mind? You want to bring that kid here to work? Kevin, he's Jennifer's son, our Jennifer. So what? That doesn't change the fact he's a needy minor. If we start giving him work, soon we'll have a crowd at our door. But we owe that family. You fired Jennifer unfairly. I made a business decision based on the information I had at the time. I won't feel guilty about it for the rest of my life. How can you be so cold? A woman died because of this. Jennifer died because she didn't take care of herself. That's not our fault. Elizabeth was shocked by her husband's callousness. In that moment, she realized she didn't truly know the man she'd married 15 years ago. Kevin, I'm helping that boy with or without your approval. If you do this, you'll have to choose him or me. Are you giving me an ultimatum? I'm being clear. I don't want that kind of trouble in my home. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. Elizabeth stayed up all night thinking about her conversation with Kevin. For the first time in 15 years of marriage, she questioned whether she'd chosen the right man to share her life with. The next morning, she went to Tyler's house before he left for work. Mrs. Reynolds, it's good to see you, said Mrs. Gladys. Tyler left early today, said he'd try to find work at a market. Actually, I came to talk to you too. I have an offer for both of you. She explained her plan. She'd hire Tyler as a general assistant at her company with a formal contract and full benefits. Mrs. Gladys could work as a cook in the company cafeteria. Mrs. Reynolds, that's very generous, but it's not generosity, Mrs. Gladys. It's justice. Besides, I need trustworthy employees, your people I can rely on. When Tyler came home that evening, he was surprised to find Elizabeth still there talking to his grandmother. Mrs. Reynolds, is something wrong? Tyler, sit down. I have an offer for you. She explained the plan again. Tyler listened carefully, but his response was unexpected. Thank you, Mrs. Reynolds, but I can't accept. Why not? Because you're offering this out of pity. I don't want anyone's pity. It's not pity, Tyler. It's an opportunity. You'll work hard and earn your money honestly. But your husband doesn't want me to, does he? I saw how he looked at me yesterday at the hospital. Elizabeth realized the boy had noticed far more than she'd imagined. Tyler, my husband sometimes takes time to accept change. but he'll understand. I don't want to cause problems in your marriage. You won't cause any problems, I'll handle it. After much discussion, Tyler accepted the offer. But before starting work, he made one request. Mrs. Reynolds, I want to see where my mother worked. Can you take me there? The next day, Elizabeth took Tyler to her home in Beverly Hills. The boy was stunned by the size of the mansion. My mother worked here. She did, and she was loved by all of us. They showed Tyler the room where Jennifer used to sleep, the kitchen where she prepared meals, the garden she tended with such care. Mrs. Reynolds, can I see a picture of my mum working here? Elizabeth went to an old photo album and showed him several pictures of Jennifer, at a birthday party, at Christmas, at a family barbecue. She looked happy here, Tyler observed. She was very happy. That's why it was so painful when she left. Tyler held a photo of Jennifer smiling in the kitchen. Can I keep this one? Of course you can, it's yours. That's when Kevin came home and found Tyler in the living room looking at the photos. Elizabeth, what is this? Kevin, this is Tyler, Jennifer's son. He wanted to see where his mother worked. And you brought him here into our home? What's the problem? The problem is I don't want strangers in here, especially that kind of people. Tyler stood up immediately. Sorry for the trouble, sir. I'll leave now. Tyler, wait. Elizabeth held the boy's arm. Kevin, he's not a stranger. He's our former employee's son. A former employee who was fired for suspected theft. A former employee who was fired because of our mistake, Elizabeth corrected. Mrs. Reynolds, I really need to go, Tyler insisted. My grandmother must be waiting for me. After Tyler left, Elizabeth and Kevin had the most serious argument of their entire marriage. Kevin, you were rude to a child. I was being realistic. We can't create false expectations. What false expectations? I offered him and his grandmother work. Elizabeth, you're being manipulated. That boy knows exactly how to play on your sympathy. He doesn't want sympathy. He wants to work. And you believe that? I believe it because it's true. You should get to know him before judging him. I don't need to. I've seen hundreds like him. Like him? What does that mean? It means poor kids who use their situation to get advantages. Elizabeth was shocked by her husband's blatant prejudice. Kevin, I don't recognize you anymore. When we got married, you weren't like this. I was naive, just like you are now. Life taught me to be more practical. Life taught you to be prejudiced. Life taught me to be cautious. The argument ended unresolved. Elizabeth slept in the guest room for the first time in their 15-year marriage. The next day, against Kevin's wishes, Tyler started working at Elizabeth's company, a mid-sized construction business specializing in home renovations, where she was the majority owner. Tyler proved to be an exemplary employee from day one. He arrived early, completed every task with dedication, and even helped other workers when he finished his own. Mrs. Reynolds, said Sharon, the longest-serving secretary in the company, that boy is a gem. I've never seen anyone work so hard. And his grandmother? Mrs. Gladys is wonderful. Her cooking is the best I've ever tasted. All the employees are raving about it. After 2 weeks, Tyler was already beloved by everyone at the company. But at home, the tension with Kevin only grew. Elizabeth, you need to put a stop to this, he said during dinner. You're becoming the talk of the town. Talk of the town. Why? Because everyone knows you're supporting a family of slum dwellers. Tyler and Mrs. Gladys don't live in a slum. And even if they did, what's the problem? The problem is you're being naive. They'll take advantage of you. How? By working honestly every day? For now. But soon they'll ask for a raise, then a house, then a car. Kevin, they've never asked for anything except work. Not yet. Kevin's paranoia reached the point where he hired a private investigator to look into Tyler and Mrs. Gladys's past. The investigator's report, delivered 3 weeks later, even surprised Kevin. Tyler was indeed a hard-working boy who had been taking care of his sick grandmother for years. There was nothing questionable in his past. But instead of admitting he was wrong, Kevin came up with another excuse. Elizabeth, you need to stop this before it becomes an addiction. An addiction to what? To saving people. Today it's this boy. Tomorrow it'll be another, then another. And what would be the problem if I actually helped more people? The problem is we're not the Salvation Army. We have our own responsibilities. What responsibilities? Spending money on expensive restaurants and international trips. Responsibilities to maintain our standard of living. Our standard of living won't change by helping one family. Yes, it will, because it won't be just one family. Soon you'll want to help everyone. The argument was interrupted by the ringing phone. It was Richard, Elizabeth's brother-in-law. "Elizabeth, I need to talk to you urgently," he said. "About what?" "About that boy you hired. I'm hearing he's causing problems in the commercial building." "What problems?" "The other business owners are complaining. They say after you hired an underprivileged minor, others started showing up asking for work." "And what's the problem?" "The problem is it's attracting riffraff to the area. That's bad for business." "Richard, Tyler isn't riffraff. He's a registered employee of my company." "Elizabeth, you don't understand the consequences of what you're doing. If you start giving work to one, others will come. Soon we'll have an invasion of underprivileged minors in the area. Underprivileged minors working honestly, underprivileged minors causing problems. What problems has Tyler caused? Well, he hasn't caused any problems yet, but he could." Elizabeth realized Richard's prejudice was even worse than Kevin's. "Richard, Tyler will keep working with me. If the other business owners have a problem with that, they can talk to me directly." "Elizabeth, you're being stubborn. Kevin is right when he says you're losing touch with reality. Kevin talked to you about this. We spoke yesterday. He's worried about you." Elizabeth realized Kevin was orchestrating a campaign against her decision to help Tyler. That only made her more determined to continue. The following month, Tyler proved his worth definitively. During a renovation at a house in Pacific Heights, he noticed the tiles the workers were installing had an almost imperceptible crack. "Mrs. Elizabeth, I think we should replace these tiles," he said, pointing out the crack. "Good eye, Tyler. If it weren't for you, we'd have to redo the whole job later." The client, an influential businessman, was so impressed by the boy's attention to detail that he asked for him to be part of other projects. "Mrs. Elizabeth," the client said, "where did you find this kid? He has more professionalism than most adults out there." "It's a long story, Michael, but I can assure you he's special. If you have other employees like him, send them my way. I need responsible people on my projects." Elizabeth felt proud. Tyler was proving her trust in him right, but at home, Kevin remained hostile. "Elizabeth, you need to stop treating that boy like he's family." "What do you mean? You're giving him too much attention. People are noticing." "What people?" "Everyone in our social circle. They're saying you're obsessed with this kid." "Obsessed with what? With giving a hard-working child an opportunity? With giving him more attention than your own family?" "What family, Kevin? We don't have children, and you've never shown interest in having any. We have our lives, our plans." "What plans?" "Dining out, traveling on vacation, and pretending we're happy." The conversation touched on a painful point in their marriage. Elizabeth had always wanted children, but Kevin kept putting off the subject, saying the timing wasn't right. "Maybe that's why you're clinging so much to this boy," Kevin said. "You're channeling your maternal instincts. And what if I am? What's the problem?" "The problem is he's not your son. He's a stranger who could disappear from your life at any moment." "Tyler isn't a stranger. He's Jennifer's son." "Is Jennifer alive?" "No." "So this connection you're inventing doesn't exist." Kevin's coldness left Elizabeth speechless. At that moment, she realized her marriage was coming to an end. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. A few weeks later, Tyler did something that surprised everyone at the company. During lunch break, he was in Elizabeth's office studying with books borrowed from the public library. "Tyler, didn't you go to lunch?" "I already ate, Mrs. Reynolds. I was studying math." "Why?" "I want to learn how to do budgets like you do. If I get better at math, I can help more with the business." Elizabeth was moved by the boy's dedication. "Tyler, do you really want to study?" "More than anything. I always have, but I never had the chance." "What if I enrolled you in school?" Tyler's eyes lit up. "You'd do that for me?" Of course, but it would have to be night school so you can keep working. I'll take it. I'll study hard, I promise. That same week, Elizabeth enrolled Tyler in a public night school that offered elementary education for young adults. The boy was overjoyed. Mrs. Gladys cried when she heard the news. "Mrs. Reynolds, you're fulfilling Jennifer's dream. She always said she wanted Tyler to study. It's what she would have wanted me to do. You're an angel in our lives." "I'm no angel, Mrs. Gladys. Just someone trying to make up for past mistakes." Tyler took his studies seriously. He arrived at the company at 7 in the morning, worked until 5, ate a quick dinner, and rushed to school. He came home at 11, did his homework, and slept only a few hours. "Tyler, you're not getting enough sleep," Elizabeth observed. "Maybe we should reduce your workload." "No, Mrs. Reynolds, I can handle it. I just need to organize myself better." The boy's determination was impressive. Within 2 months, he was among the top students in his class. But all of Elizabeth's dedication to Tyler's growth was causing an irreversible crisis in her marriage. "Elizabeth, enough!" Kevin exploded during dinner. "You spend more time thinking about that boy than your own husband." "Kevin, I'm just helping a child have a better future." "You're obsessed. It's all you talk about. Because it matters to me." "More than our marriage?" "If our marriage can't withstand an act of kindness, then maybe it's not as strong as we thought. Elizabeth, you've changed. You're not the woman I married anymore. Maybe I'm finally discovering who I really am. Discovering yourself or losing yourself. For the first time in years, I feel alive. I feel useful." "You were already useful. At the company, in society. Useful for making money, Kevin, not for making a difference in someone's life." "And what about me? Don't I make a difference in yours?" Elizabeth hesitated before answering. That hesitation said it all. "Kevin, we both know our marriage hasn't been right for years. We're just going through the motions." "I'm not going through the motions. I love you. You love the woman I was, not the woman I am now. The woman you've become is obsessed with a strange boy. Tyler isn't strange. To me, he is." "Well, that's the problem, Kevin. To you, he'll always be strange. To me, he's part of the family." "Family? Elizabeth, you've completely lost your mind." The argument ended with Kevin slamming the bedroom door. Elizabeth slept in the living room for the first time in many years. The next morning, Kevin had left early without a word. Elizabeth went to work with a heavy heart, but tried not to let Tyler sense anything was wrong. "Mrs. Reynolds, are you okay?" the boy asked during their break. "I'm fine, Tyler." "Why?" "You seem sad today." The boy's sensitivity surprised Elizabeth. In just a few months, he'd learned to read her expressions better than her own husband. "Just grown-up problems, Tyler. Nothing you need to worry about. If you want to talk, I'll listen. Sometimes it helps to let it out." The maturity in those words coming from a child moved Elizabeth deeply. In that moment, she realized Tyler had become much more than an employee or a charity case. He'd become a confidant, almost like a son. That afternoon, Kevin showed up at the company with a lawyer. "Elizabeth, we need to talk," he said coldly. In the meeting room, the lawyer explained that Kevin was filing for separation and division of assets. "Kevin, because of Tyler?" "Because of many things, Elizabeth. Tyler was just the last straw." "What other things?" "You've changed. You're not the practical, level-headed woman I married. Now you're emotional, impulsive. Now I'm human, Kevin. You're unstable." The lawyer interrupted. "Mrs. Reynolds, my client would like an amicable agreement. He keeps the house and you keep the business." "And Tyler?" "What do you mean?" the lawyer asked. "Kevin knows I won't abandon Tyler or Mrs. Gladys." "Mrs. Reynolds," the lawyer said, "I don't see the relevance of these people in the separation process." "The relevance is that they matter to me." Kevin sighed. "Elizabeth, you can keep doing your charity work. I just don't want to be part of it anymore." "Charity work?" "Kevin, they're part of my life now. And that's exactly why we can't stay together." The separation process began that same week. Elizabeth moved into a smaller apartment, but kept Tyler and Mrs. Gladys working at the company. "Mrs. Reynolds, I feel guilty," Tyler said when he learned about the separation. "If it weren't for me..." "Tyler, stop. My marriage had problems long before you came along. You just helped me see them. But Mr. Kevin hates me because of me. Kevin doesn't hate you, Tyler. He's afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid of change. Afraid of leaving his comfort zone. Afraid of feeling. Tyler grew thoughtful. You know what my mom used to say, that when someone's afraid to love, they end up losing the love they already have. The wisdom in those words struck Elizabeth again. How could a 10-year-old boy understand so much about human nature? Your mother was a very wise woman, Tyler. She was. She also said everything happens for a reason. Maybe I came into your life to help you discover who you really are. And maybe you came so I could learn what real love is. Tyler smiled for the first time since hearing about the separation. So I didn't destroy anything. I helped build something new. Exactly, Tyler. You helped me build a new life. In the months that followed, Elizabeth's life changed completely. Without Kevin constantly criticizing her decisions, she felt free to be her true self. The business thrived because Tyler suggested process improvements, and clients loved the attention to detail he brought. Mrs. Gladys became the heart of the cafeteria, caring for the employees as if they were her own children. Mrs. Reynolds, Sharon said one day, the company has never run so well. The employees are more motivated, the clients more satisfied. What do you think changed? You changed. You've become more human, closer to everyone, and Tyler brought a new energy here. It was true. Tyler had infected the whole company with his dedication and optimism. Even on the toughest days, he always found reasons to smile. One day, Tyler arrived at the company with a surprise. Mrs. Reynolds, look what I got at school. It was a diploma for completing elementary school. Tyler had finished in record time, being the best in his class. Tyler, I'm so proud. Congratulations. Thank you, Mrs. Reynolds. Now I want to start high school. Of course, we'll arrange your enrollment. And I also want to take a technical course in construction. I want to learn more about the company's work. Tyler, are you sure? That's a lot at once. I'm sure I want to be the best employee you've ever had. You already are, Tyler. The boy's dedication was contagious. Soon, other employees also went back to school, inspired by his example. A year after the separation, Elizabeth was working on the company's biggest project yet, renovating a business complex. Tyler, now 11, had become her right-hand man in overseeing the construction. Mrs. Reynolds, he said during a site visit, I think the electricians used the wrong wire gauge on the 3rd floor. How do you know that? I learned it in my technical course. That installation won't handle the electrical load planned in the project. Elizabeth checked and Tyler was right. The mistake could have caused serious problems later. Tyler, you saved our project. How can I thank you? You don't have to thank me, Mrs. Reynolds. You've already done so much for me. I'm the one who should thank you, Tyler. You changed my life. How? Before I met you, my life was empty. I worked just to make money, lived just to keep up appearances. You taught me there are more important things. Like what? Real love, generosity, the joy of helping someone grow. Tyler was moved. Mrs. Reynolds, can I confess something? Of course, Tyler. At first I thought you were helping me out of pity, but over time I realized it was out of love. Real love, Tyler. And I love you too, like you were my mom. Tears streamed down Elizabeth's face. It was the first time anyone had called her Mom, even if not officially. Tyler, would you like me to really be your mom? What do you mean? Would you like me to adopt you? Tyler's eyes filled with tears. You'd do that? I'd be honored, but only if you want it. I do. But what about my grandma? Mrs. Gladys would be part of our family too. Tyler hugged Elizabeth tightly. Thank you, Mrs. Reynolds. Thank you for giving me a real family. The adoption process began immediately. Since Tyler had no recognized father and his mother had passed away, with Mrs. Gladys's consent as his legal guardian, the adoption was quickly approved. Kevin tried to contest it, claiming Elizabeth was emotionally unstable, but the judge dismissed his argument. The proof of Tyler's positive transformation was undeniable. On the day of the final hearing, Tyler wore his best clothes and nervously held Elizabeth's hand. "It's okay, son," she whispered. "Soon, We'll officially be a family. A real family? A real family. When the judge signed the papers, Tyler couldn't hold back his emotions. He cried in Elizabeth's arms, then Mrs. Gladys's and even Sharon's, who had come to witness the ceremony. "Now you're Tyler Reynolds," said Elizabeth, "my son. And you're my mother. My real mother." Mrs. Gladys was also moved. "Jennifer would be so happy seeing this," she said. "She always dreamed that Tyler would have a stable family." "He always had a family, Mrs. Gladys. He had you. Now we've just made that family bigger." Tyler's life had officially changed, but in reality it had changed long before. He kept studying and working, but now he had the security of a solid family. 2 years later, Tyler was finishing high school and his technical course at the same time. By 13, he was already recognized as one of the best young professionals in Chicago's construction industry. "Mom," he said one day, still emotional when using that word, "I want to study civil engineering in college." "Tyler, are you sure? It's a very difficult program." "I'm sure. I want to be an engineer so I can help the company grow even more." "My son, you don't need to worry about the company. It's already yours too." "What do you mean?" "Tyler, when you turn 18, you'll become a minority partner in the company. It's my way of securing your future." Tyler was speechless. "Mom, I don't deserve this. You deserve this and so much more. You're the most wonderful son I could have ever asked for. Thank you for believing in me when no one else did." "Tyler, I didn't just believe in you. I saw who you really were from the very first day." That night, Elizabeth looked out the window of her apartment and thought about the journey she had lived. From an empty, shallow woman, she had become a fulfilled mother and a more socially conscious businesswoman. Tyler walked into the living room with his college books. "Mom, can I study here? My room is too hot." "Of course, son. Do you want me to make you a snack?" "No need. Grandma already did." Mrs. Gladys, now 72, still lived with them and took care of the house as if she were Tyler's official grandmother. "Tyler," Elizabeth said, "do you remember the day we met?" "How could I forget? You were the first person who treated me with dignity, and you were the first person who taught me the true meaning of love." "Mom, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Do you regret leaving Uncle Kevin because of me?" "Tyler, I didn't leave because of you. I left because I realized we weren't compatible. You just helped me see that. And are you happy now?" "I'm happier than I've ever been in my entire life." "Me too. Thank you for giving me a family, Mom. Thank you for giving me a purpose in life, son." 5 years passed. Tyler graduated with top honors in civil engineering and officially became a partner in the company. At 18, he was one of the youngest and most respected businessmen in the industry. The company, which once only handled residential renovations, grew and began taking on major commercial projects. Their edge was always attention to detail and care for employees, a philosophy Tyler had helped shape. "Mom," Tyler said one morning, "I have a surprise for you." "What surprise?" "I bought us a new house, with a special room for Grandma and an office for you to work from home whenever you want." "Tyler, you didn't have to—" "Yes, I did. You gave me a family. Now I want to give our family a real home." The house was beautiful, in the same neighborhood where Tyler had grown up. It wasn't a mansion like the one Elizabeth had left behind, but it was warm and full of love. "Why did you choose this neighborhood?" Elizabeth asked. "Because this is where our story is. This is where our family began." Mrs. Gladys, now 77 years old, was moved to tears when she saw the room Tyler had prepared for her, with a view of the garden and a rocking chair on the porch. "Tyler, my grandson, you've grown into a wonderful man. I learned from the most wonderful women in the world, you and my mother." That evening, during the first dinner in the new house, Tyler raised a toast. "To this family that fate built. To my mother, who taught me that true love knows no prejudice. To my grandmother, who taught me that dignity is worth more than money. And to my real mother, Jennifer, who, even though she isn't here, guided us to this moment." Elizabeth cried with emotion. In 10 years, her life had completely changed. From a wealthy but empty woman, she had become a fulfilled mother and a whole person. "Tyler," she said, "you know it was you who saved me, not the other way around." "Mom, we saved each other. It's true. We found in each other what was missing in our lives." 2 years later, Tyler was dating a college classmate, Ashley, a young engineer who had fallen in love with him as much as with his story of overcoming adversity. "Mrs. Reynolds," Ashley said during a visit, "I want you to know how much I admire what you did for Tyler." "Ashley, I should admire you for loving my son for who he is, not what he has. It's impossible not to love Tyler. He's the most genuine person I know. He's always been that way. I just gave him the opportunity to flourish." By then, the company had become one of the most respected in Chicago. Tyler had implemented a social program offering work and education to underprivileged youth, following the example he had lived. "Mom," he said one day, "I want to expand our social program." "How so?" "I want the company to take in at least 10 young people a year, offering work, education, and a future." "Tyler, that will cost a lot of money." "Mom, money comes and goes. Transformed lives last forever." Elizabeth smiled. Her son had learned the most important lesson. True success is measured by the good we do for others. The Second Chance program, created by Tyler, became a national model. In 5 years, it had changed the lives of over 50 young people who, like him, only needed an opportunity. Kevin, who had remarried, tried to reconnect when he heard about the company's success. "Elizabeth, I was wrong about that boy," he admitted in a call. "Tyler, Kevin, his name is Tyler. Tyler, he really has become a successful man. He was always special. You just couldn't see it. I'd like to get to know him better now. Kevin, that's for Tyler to decide, not me." When Elizabeth told Tyler about Kevin's call, he thought for a long time before answering. "Mom, I don't hold grudges. If he wants to talk, I'll talk." "Are you sure?" "Yes. Maybe he's changed too." The meeting took place at the company's office. Kevin was impressed by the young businessman Tyler had become. "Tyler, I owe you an apology," Kevin said. "I was wrong about you." "Mr. Kevin, you didn't know me. It's natural to have doubts." "They weren't doubts. They were prejudice, and prejudice is inexcusable." "We all have prejudices, sir. What matters is being willing to change when we realize we're wrong." Tyler's maturity stunned Kevin. That day, he understood he had lost far more than a wife when he chose prejudice over love. At 25, Tyler proposed to Ashley. The ceremony was simple but moving. Elizabeth cried as she watched him at the altar, remembering the barefoot boy she had met sweeping the sidewalk 15 years earlier. "Mom," said Tyler in his speech, "today I marry the love of my life, but I want to thank the woman who taught me what true love is. My mother, Elizabeth, who saved me not just from poverty, but from hopelessness." Mrs. Gladys, now 82 years old but still sharp and active, also spoke. "Jennifer, wherever you are, you can rest in peace. Your son became the wonderful man you dreamed he would be." A year later, Tyler and Ashley had their first child, a boy named Ethan, in honor of Jennifer. "Mom," Tyler said, handing the baby to Elizabeth, "now you're a grandmother." "Grandmother," Elizabeth repeated, moved. "I never thought I'd live to be a grandmother." "And you'll be the best grandmother in the world, just like you were the best mother in the world." Elizabeth held her grandson in her arms and felt her life was complete. From the wreckage of a failed marriage, she had built a true family based on unconditional love. Mrs. Gladys, now a great-grandmother, cried when she saw the baby. "He has Jennifer's eyes," she said. The story continues. In the following years, Tyler and Ashley had 2 more children, a girl named Emily, also in honor of Jennifer, and another boy named Jackson, in honor of Elizabeth's grandfather. The company kept growing and the social program expanded to other cities. Tyler became a national reference in corporate social responsibility. "Mom," he said during a Sunday lunch, "sometimes I think about what my life would have been like if you hadn't stopped to talk to me that day." "Don't dwell on that, Tyler. What matters is that it happened. But I do think about it, and it scares me. I could have grown up bitter with no prospects, no hope. You always had hope, Tyler. I just helped it flourish. You saved my life, and you saved my soul." Mrs. Gladys, now 87, was still actively involved in the family's life. She cared for her great-grandchildren with the same dedication she had shown Tyler. "Grandma," Tyler said one afternoon, "do you regret anything in life?" "I regret not meeting your mother Elizabeth sooner," she replied. "We could have been friends for much longer." "We met at the right time, Mrs. Gladys," Elizabeth said, "when we needed each other most." "That's true. God knows all things." On a winter morning, exactly 20 years after their first meeting, Elizabeth and Tyler passed by the place where they had met. The office building was still there, but the doorman had been replaced, and Richard was no longer the superintendent. "Mom, remember this place?" "How could I forget?" "This is where I gained a son, and I gained a family." They stopped on the sidewalk where it all began. Tyler, now a 30-year-old man, successful and fulfilled, looked at the spot where he had once swept barefoot so many years ago. "Tyler, do you miss those days?" "I miss the simplicity, but I don't miss the lack of hope." "You never lost your simplicity, son. That's what makes you special. I learned from you that success without simplicity is arrogance." A child ran past on the sidewalk, playing with siblings. Tyler watched with warmth. "Mom, I think it's time to expand our social program even further." "What do you have in mind?" "I want to create a foundation, one that offers not just work and education, but also housing and healthcare for children in vulnerable situations." "Tyler, that's a huge project." "I know, but I'm sure this is what I'm meant to do with the success I've achieved." "And Ashley, what does she think?" "She fully supports me. She wants to make a difference too." The Tyler and Elizabeth Reynolds Foundation was established 2 years later and became one of the most respected social institutions in the country. Within 10 years of operation, it had already transformed the lives of over 1,000 children. Tyler always made a point of sharing his own story with the children supported by the foundation. "I was just like you," he would say. "I was also afraid of the future, and I felt abandoned too. But I learned there's always hope, always someone willing to help." The kids connected with him because they knew it wasn't just talk, it was his lived experience. One of them, a 9-year-old boy named Jason, approached Tyler after a talk. "Uncle Tyler, can I really be like you someday?" "Jason, you can be even better than me. You just have to believe in yourself and work hard." "But I don't have a mom or dad." "Neither did I. But I found a family, and you will too." "How do you know?" "Because love always finds a way to reach us." Elizabeth, watching the conversation from afar, was moved. Her son had become exactly the man she'd dreamed he would be. Successful yet humble, wealthy yet generous, fulfilled yet always ready to help others. That evening, during family dinner, Tyler made an announcement. "Everyone, I have an important decision to share." "What is it, Dad?" asked Emily, now 8. "I've decided that when I turn 40, I'll dedicate myself fully to the foundation." "What about the company?" asked Ashley. "It'll keep running, but professionals will manage it. All profits will go to social projects." Elizabeth was proud of her son's choice. "Tyler, are you sure about this?" "Absolutely, Mom. You taught me that true success isn't measured by what we accumulate, but by what we share." "And the kids? What do you think?" Ashley asked. "I think it's cool, Dad," said Ethan, now 10. "That way you can help more kids like you were helped." "Can we help too?" Emily asked. "Of course, you'll be the foundation's future leaders." "And Jackson too?" Ethan asked, referring to his 5-year-old brother. "All of you if you want." Mrs. Gladys, now 90 but still present at every family gathering, smiled. Jennifer would be so proud, seeing her son turn pain into love, need into generosity. "Grandma, do you think my birth mother would approve of who I've become?" "Tyler, my grandson, she wouldn't just approve, she'd be proud. You've become exactly the man she dreamed you'd be." "And I only did because I found the right family. The family God specially prepared for you." That night, Elizabeth lay awake, reflecting on their journey. From a wealthy but empty woman, she'd become a fulfilled mother and proud grandmother. Her greatest investment hadn't been in stocks or property, but in a child who needed love. Tyler, now 32, was everything she could have dreamed of in a son. Principled, generous, successful, and above all, loving. The next day, he surprised her at her office. "Mom, I have a gift for you." "What is it, son?" It was a framed photo from their adoption day, with a golden plaque that read, "To the woman who taught me family isn't about sharing blood, but sharing love. Tyler." Elizabeth choked up. "Mom, I want you to know I'm grateful every day for that moment you decided to stop on the sidewalk and talk to me. I'm the grateful one, son. You gave my life meaning. We complete each other, Mom. It's what we both needed, a real family." 5 years later, Tyler kept his promise. At 37, he handed the company over to qualified professionals and devoted himself entirely to the foundation. The transition ceremony was deeply moving. Hundreds of people who had been helped by Tyler's social projects were present. "When I was 10 years old," Tyler said in his speech, "a special woman taught me that our greatest wealth isn't what we have, but what we do with what we have. Today, I dedicate my life to multiplying that lesson." In the audience, Elizabeth wept with pride. Mrs. Gladys, now 95 but still sharp, held her hand. "Mrs. Reynolds, we did good work." "We certainly did, Mrs. Gladys. We raised an extraordinary man." "We didn't raise him. We just gave him love so he could flourish." 2 years after Tyler retired from business, the foundation was already serving over 3,000 children across the country. Tyler had become a national reference in social work. One Sunday afternoon, the whole family was gathered in the garden of the house. The children played while the adults talked. "Dad," said Ethan, now 17, "I want to follow in your footsteps." "How so, son?" "I want to work at the foundation. I want to help kids the way you do." "What about you, Emily?" Tyler asked his 15-year-old daughter. "I want to be a doctor, but I also want to work with you. I want to take care of the kids' health at the foundation." "And I'm going to be a lawyer," said Jackson, 12. "I'll defend children's rights." Tyler looked at Ashley, moved. "Seems like our whole family is going to dedicate themselves to helping others." "It's the way they were raised," Ashley said. "They learned early that success without generosity is worthless." Elizabeth, now 65, watched the scene with satisfaction. Her decision to stop on a sidewalk 27 years earlier had changed not just Tyler's life, but entire generations. "Grandma Reynolds," Ethan said, "do you regret anything in life?" "I regret taking so long to meet your father." "But you met at the right time," Emily said. "If it had been earlier, maybe things wouldn't have worked out." "Emily's right," Tyler agreed. "Everything happened when it was supposed to. I needed a mother and your mother needed a son. And now we need each other," Ashley added. Mrs. Gladys, who had dozed off in the rocking chair, woke up and smiled at the whole family gathered there. "What's that beautiful noise?" "It's the sound of our family, Grandma," Jackson said. "The most beautiful family in the world." That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Elizabeth and Tyler stayed on the porch talking, as they had for years. "Son, are you happy?" "Mom, I'm happier than I ever thought possible. Even with all the responsibilities of the foundation. Especially because of them. Every child we help is a victory." "And do you ever wonder what your life would have been like if things had been different?" "Sometimes, but I always come to the same conclusion. I wouldn't change a thing. Not even the hard times, because they taught me to appreciate the good ones." "Tyler, I need to tell you something." "What is it, Mom?" "That first day, when I saw you sweeping the sidewalk, it wasn't just compassion I felt, it was recognition." "How so?" "I recognized in you something I'd lost, dignity and simplicity. You taught me we can be great without being arrogant, rich without being selfish." "Mom, you were already a good person. You just didn't know it. I was an empty person trying to fill the void with material things. You showed me the void can only be filled with love. And you showed me there's always hope, even when everything seems lost." They sat in silence for a few minutes, watching the stars. "Tyler," Elizabeth finally said, "if you could give one piece of advice to a child going through what you went through, what would you say?" "I'd say it doesn't matter where you were born, or how many struggles you're facing. What matters is not giving up on your dreams, and always being open to love that can appear when we least expect it. And if I could give advice to a woman in the situation I was in, I'd say sometimes we need to lose everything we thought was important to discover what truly matters. Both of us learned that family isn't blood, it's a choice. And that true love knows no age, social class, or any other kind of barrier. The next morning, Tyler woke up early and went to Jennifer's grave as he did every year on the anniversary of her death. "Mom," he said, placing flowers on the tombstone, "today I wanted to tell you about our family. Your granddaughter Emily is finishing high school and wants to be a doctor. Ethan is starting college for business administration to help with the foundation. Jackson is the most mischievous, but he has a huge heart, and my mother Elizabeth is still the most generous woman I know." Elizabeth had arrived quietly and listened to Tyler's words. "He also tells you about Mrs. Gladys," she said, stepping closer. "Mom, I didn't hear you come. I wanted to let you talk to her alone first. Jennifer, your mother-in-law is 96 and still takes care of all of us. She says she'll live to 100 to see her great-grandchildren graduate. And she probably will," said Elizabeth. "Mrs. Gladys is stronger than any of us. You know what I was thinking, Mum?" "What?" "Maybe all that hardship we went through at the beginning was necessary. If my life had been easier, maybe I wouldn't have developed the empathy needed to help other kids." "Tyler, you've always had empathy. It was a natural quality of yours. But it was pain that taught me to turn empathy into action. And it was love that taught you to turn action into lasting impact." They left the cemetery holding hands, as they had for over 20 years. Two people fate had brought together on a cold winter sidewalk, who had built a story of love, resilience, and generosity together. On the way back, they passed by the place where they'd first met. The building had been renovated and now housed the headquarters of the Tyler and Elizabeth Reynolds Foundation. "Look at the irony," said Tyler. "The place where it all began became our base of operations. It's not irony, son. It's poetry." On the building's wall, a golden plaque read, "Here began a love story that transformed not just 2 lives, but thousands of others." "Tyler, do you remember your first words to me?" "I do. I'm not a beggar." "And do you remember my first words to you?" "Son, you're cold." At that moment, without realizing it, I was already calling you my son. And at that moment, even though I was wary, I felt I could trust you. It was love at first sight, Tyler. Maternal love at first sight. They entered the building where over 100 employees worked daily to improve the lives of underprivileged children. Tyler greeted each one by name, knew their personal stories, and cared about their families. "Mr. Tyler," said a young employee, "there's a letter for you." It was from a child the foundation had helped 5 years earlier, who was now graduating from medical school. "Mr. Tyler, I want to thank you for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself. Today I'm graduating as a doctor, and I want to work caring for underprivileged children, just like you cared for me. You taught me it doesn't matter where we come from, but where we're going." Tyler showed the letter to Elizabeth. "Mum, this is worth more than any money in the world." "That's how we know we're on the right path, son." That afternoon, during the Foundation's weekly board meeting, Tyler announced a new goal. "I want us to help 10,000 children across the country in the next 5 years." "Tyler, that's very ambitious," said the financial director. "All our achievements began with ambitious dreams. But we'll need a lot more resources." "Then let's go after those resources. If we can inspire more business leaders and wealthy families to join the cause, we'll get there." Ashley, who was attending the meeting as the educational director, supported her husband. "Tyler is right. If every wealthy family took in an underprivileged child, like Elizabeth did with him, we could transform the country." "Let's create a national campaign," suggested Elizabeth. "Adopt a child, change a life." The campaign launched 6 months later and became a national success. Within 2 years, over 1,000 families had socially adopted underprivileged children, providing education, healthcare, and hope for the future. Tyler became the national spokesperson for the campaign, sharing his own story on TV shows, magazines, and business events. "The message I want to leave," he always said, "is that every one of us can make a difference in someone's life. We don't have to wait for the government to fix everything. We can take action individually and change the world, one child at a time. End of story. Now tell me what you thought of this story of love and transformation. Do you believe simple gestures like Elizabeth's can truly change lives? Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know if you've ever experienced or witnessed something similar. Did you enjoy the story? Then give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories like this one.